Hi, I'm Stephen K. Peeples, and I'm sitting with Al Schmitt, who is the most decorated engineer in Grammy history. He has 23 Grammys, and that's not too shabby. So we're here at Capitol Studios. We're going to talk a little bit about what he's working on now, and flash back a little bit and talk about how he got into the business, which is a great story too. So, what are you working on right now? You were starting to tell me about a special project.
Oh, I'm doing a thing right now with Burt Bacharach coming up on the weekend, and it's for the peace movement. So I think it's a peace song, and I think Andre Bocelli is going to sing, and it's a song that Burt wrote, and so that should be fun. That's what I'm doing that right now. I just finished the album with Neil Young.
Right.
I don't know if you heard that. That with 95 pieces and
yeah, I want to talk to you about that.
Pretty very cool. And I did an album, one of my favorite records I did last year, which will be out in February, with Bob Dylan.
Right.
And totally different kind of a record.
And I want to talk to you about that too.
It's totally different than anything Bob has ever done. Something he's wanted to do for 40 years.
That's what we hear. That's the scuttlebutt among Dylan fans.
Yeah.
It's a really neat project. So
and it's great. People broke down crying listening to the record. That's how emotional it touched them. My wife thinks it's a sexy record, but people love the record. T-Bone Burnett heard it and told me. Elvis Costello loved the record. Diana Krall. I mean, people who have heard it just love it. And again, as they say, it's like nothing you've ever heard Dylan do.
Well, let's while we're on the subject, let's talk about it a little bit. Different in what way?
Well, the material.
Yeah.
It's other people's material.
So they're not original songs.
No,
it's
not
one. Is it an album of covers?
In a sense, covers. Yeah. It's what it is.
Or a reinterpretation.
It's a reinterpretation of songs that Frank Sinatra did in the 40s, early 50s with Harry James and things.
Right, when he was still on Columbia.
Yep. And so it was amazing, just amazing. He picked some obscure songs that are great songs,
and from a production standpoint or an engineering standpoint, how is it different from other Dylan sessions that you've done?
Well, what happened was, he wanted to use me on it, and I was busy, and I told him I'm sorry, I just couldn't do it. And I was really a little pissed that I couldn't do it. I've never worked with Bob, and I always wanted to.
Oh, okay.
So he was another one on my bucket list. So
that's one of my questions.
Yeah. So anyway, I got a call from his manager saying, listen, I told him when I was available. They said, we moved our stuff around, so because Bob wants to work with you. And I said, wow, that sounds cool. So we did it at Capitol Studio B. He came in the room and he looked around. He started talking, like the acoustics in the room. He said, well, boy, this room sounds really nice. Where would I be singing? And he said, right where you're standing. So that's where the mic went, the vocal mic, and then it was his band. And we had an acoustic guitar, an upright bass, some light brushes on the drums, an electric guitar, and a steel guitar. No headphones. Everybody around him, and when he couldn't hear enough of the rhythm guitar, we just moved him closer. And everything was live.
So how did you mic this?
Well, he didn't want to see mics.
Okay.
So except the mic that he was singing on.
Right.
So all the mics were quite a distance from people. It was really unique. And I had to use every bit of my 60 years of experience trying to figure out how to do this and do it the right way. We used some great microphones. The bass, the acoustic bass mic was maybe 8 feet from the bass, down and away, out of the way, so he couldn't see it. He could look at the bass player but couldn't see the mic. Same with the acoustic guitar player. Now the guys that played electric and the steel, they had amps, so I was able to sneak the mic in fairly close to the amp.
Right.
But it worked great. And the fact that overall we did 23 songs.
Wow.
Only 10 are in this first album. But
Is he sandbagging the other 13
I
for
have
another
no idea.
album, or
I
who
don't
knows?
know. I have no idea. And with Bob, he won't tell you.
Right.
So,
it'll just appear on the release schedule.
Whenever. But once the first day, I wasn't sure what was going on with it, whatever. But when he came in and he heard his vocal, he said, "I've never heard my voice sound this good before." So that was a great thing. So after he knew that I was on his side, it was kind of a nice collaboration between us, because he would say, after the table, "Well, what does Al think?" So I was able to say, "Bob, come in and listen to that. That's really, really cool." Because there was no tuning and no fixing. Everything was what it was.
Right.
So that's part of the charm of the whole record, is the fact that it's not anywhere near being perfect.
It's almost like the same approach that was taken for the Basement tapes, which was like, we don't care, we don't want to see the mics, we're just going to play and come up with songs, and
Same
whatever
kind of
works,
thing.
whatever works.
Now, I was mixing with Bob when they were doing the Basement tapes here.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the ones with T-Bone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that
And he
was
didn't
the
wanna
new
go
Basement tapes.
Yeah, the
record.
new Basement tapes, right.
With Elvis Costello and all those.
Right. And he didn't want to go in and hear it. And, he said, no, I'll whittle it down and all that stuff. He didn't. I really, really liked him. I got along great with him. And I would work with him again in a minute.
I think what it was like a great mutual respect.
Could be.
Because I can't speak for Bob or I don't know him personally, but his reputation is not one of being overly friendly.
Well,
a lot of times.
he's right. He's very guarded.
He needs to be, once he feels comfortable.
Yeah.
Then you
He's
provided that atmosphere for him, and that's.
Yeah. The word, I think, is guarded. He's very guarded with himself and doesn't let it in. But we had great. We'd start at 3 and we'd go to 6 and we'd take a 2-hour break, and then we'd start at 8, finish around 10:30, and we'd work Monday through Friday and then weekend off.
How civilized.
And we was totally civilized. And the band, the guys in the band, some of the guys have been with him 13 years, 10, 11 years. They all have been with him forever. They respect him and he respects them, and they're great guys. And we just had a ball. We just had a ball.
And there's a musical intuition, I think, at this point between the band
Exactly.
members.
Right. It's like, they can anticipate where he's going. The thing was that he would listen to the song over and over and get, Sinatra's kind of his intentions on what he was doing with the song. And then he would go in. We'd only do 2 or 3 takes on each tune, but he would make it his own. Had nothing to do with Sinatra. He just learned what the song was about and whatever. And it was an interesting way to work. It was a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we had a great time.